TGIF Chicago, you're locked in and loaded. The voice of Chicago sports. Chicago Sports Podcast, Monster the Madhouse. We are T-minus 2 weeks till Hallis Hall. This featured is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, the official fantasy sports partner of Chicago sports. So, I got a couple questions for you. We're basically going to talk about the training camp, HBO, Hard Knocks and all that. You do a lot of films, so I know you're familiar with HBO Hard Knocks, and you keep, a watchful eye on all that kind of stuff, going on out there. So I think you're a good person to interview tonight. I'm really excited about it. And is there anything that you'd like to say before we get started?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't think I've ever seen a single Hard Knocks episode in my life.
Oh, man, I was like a guy that's an editor and a producer of film. I thought for sure.
I'm so excited.
Content,
Yeah, I'm so excited this year because of the opportunities for content that it's going to offer me. You best believe I'm going to watch every single bit of it this year. But yeah, I've just never been.
Well, let me ask you this.
I've seen clips. I've seen clips throughout the years, obviously, of the stuff that, goes viral. And I just haven't had the time to sit there and watch other teams during the offseason. I don't care about the Jets, like whatever, or whoever.
Well, let me ask you this. Maybe is it the timing? Is it if the Bears were obviously in the mix before that you would have a watchful eye and pay attention to it? Is that what it is?
Oh, definitely. And then I've only been doing the film for 2 years now here, so
right,
right, but definitely, yeah, it's definitely that. I mean, we're on it this year, so of course I'm going to watch. Of course,
Are you shocked? Are you shocked that the whole McCaskey thing and the way that we've always tried to keep the vintage football and all the Bear, the Hallis way, like of things, do you feel like are you shocked that we're actually doing it this year or not really?
Yes and no. I don't think they really wanted to do it per se. I don't think so. Like I remember this came up when Justin Fields was still here, and he's just like, yeah, we don't need cameras everywhere. Like we got to get our stuff together. You know what I mean? And so clearly there was a lot of work to be done, and they just wanted the concentration to be on the work. And as we saw the results play out, yeah, there was a lot of work to be done. There was a lot more work that needed to be done that wasn't. And so, am I shocked? I mean, this has to have some type of financial benefit for the McCaskies, right?
Yeah.
So if it does, I'm not shocked. Like that's, of course, they're going to want to make money. That's what they do. And to them, a lot of times, we had Ted Phillips here for how many years? Why wasn't the guy fired? Well, because he made him money every year. I mean, the NFL also grew every year, but that's a big part of the equation for them. So I'm not surprised at the end of the day that we wound up being on it. But I don't know. Part of me thinks I don't know if that's exactly what they wanted. So yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, to be honest with you. A little surprised. Definitely a little surprised.
You know what? And I'm a little surprised too, to be honest, but here's the other thing. Like, aside from Jordan, I'm not really a fan of like drawing attention. I kind of want to fly under the radar, which is funny for a big human being like me to say I want to fly under the radar, because it's like almost impossible for me not to be, picked up on, radar anywhere. Like I'm a monster. So, but I'm all about that. Right. But see, Michael Jordan was special, and he's like once in a lifetime. And you went into that full detail about how you're from Poland and you heard about that at an early age. And like for him to be global, I can't put any justice on what you said. I'm not going to make it as better or even come close to how you said it, because it was, you hit it right on the head. It was beautifully said. I was in the Middle East. I already knew about Jordan before I went there, right? But that was the one thing that got me through on those rough days in the freaking desert heat with 150 degrees in the day, 100 degrees at night, and nobody talked or walked or sounded or even really cared that I was breathing out there, except for the guys that I worked with,
Well, and before we go on, I just
and
want to
when we
say, hey, I
yeah.
just want to say, respect the hell out of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, no problem. But so like when I was there, we'd go and have some beers, and like it was like 6 hour or six time zones difference. So like we were hella late to the party. Like people legit already knew like what the game was, but there was no, nobody knew what the score was and the outcome, right? So we were like, for us, we were catching it, you know what I'm saying? We caught it late, but for us, it was like on time.
Oh yeah.
And we like it was against the Jazz. Like, and Jordan was awesome, versus Stockton and Carmelo and that big tall guy that later became a cameraman for Utah, like 7'4", the center Mark Eaton. It was a blessing to watch all that, bro. And be able to have fun and look at that. But I just he said the reason why he talked trash is because he wanted to beat you on your best day. He didn't want to fly under the radar. He wanted to ping the hell out of that radar, get you fired up, get the best version of Paul, and say, Paul, bring it, bro, because I'm going to kill you, flu game or not, or busted ankle. I'm coming, no rest days, all that, bro. And you can't compare, we can't compare any Chicago sports anymore. And I think that's the problem with us. We saw greatness. We saw sweetness. We saw the 85 Bears. We saw Jordan and, 6 championships. We saw all that, we saw the 84 Cubs. We saw the 16. We saw freaking Konerko and the amazing, Sox and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of spoiled, but we've also been in quite a drought. So what I'm trying to say to you is, for me personally, because we're not that greatness that we were, like I'm like fly under the radar. And I don't know if you remember, but I think it was Tressman where we went on a 5-0 run, and Lance Briggs, like, he was like, dude, like our defense is like legit, like, and I'm just paraphrasing, similar or could be as good as the 85 Bears. And they started out 5-0. Like the stats were crazy. Briggs was a tackle machine, missing our Urlacher, but dude, he was on fire, dude. He was a man possessed. And I knew at some point his age and just the whole wear and tear, he couldn't keep up with that. You know what I'm trying to say? But I even with Lance, dude, like I still had a feeling inside, like, let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's restore ourselves to greatness before we talk like we're great. Otherwise, people are going to be circling us on their, on their calendars. And I'm almost to the point that I'm supposed to be getting at too. So hang on. So I'm like, like let's just do that. And I feel like there's so many people out there right now that they see shades of something and they want to build a statue right away. They want to like make somebody great. And it's like, you can't get there. It takes time. It takes years. I mean, like, even if we beat the Packers one time this year, like okay, let's have a little celebration, but let's not go all out because they've owned us for quite a while. It's going to take some time and some wins and a streak. We can get excited, but don't make ourselves, bigger and make people play up, or is what I'm getting at. And so, with this whole thing with Caleb, as much as I love him, as much as I'm a USC fan and I'm excited he's on, like this whole thing, like where we are on Hard Knocks, as much as I like it and I love the showmanship and I love all the attention that Chicago is getting, like I kind of wanted, if there was at all any possibility for us to just kind of fly under the radar and kind of, strike quietly. But I feel like with us being on Hard Knocks, bro, once everybody really sees that there's some people out there, and I really feel that there is, because this is the center of our world, Paul, but there's still probably some people out there that don't really get all Caleb, like we do. And now everybody's going to see what's up. And I'm just like, oh man, like, I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at. I kind of want to be quiet till we just keep chipping away at being great. You know what I'm saying, Paul?
I know exactly what you're saying. So that's why I'm split on this whole thing, because from a selfish point of view, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna love having the material there to be able to use in my videos and the content there to be able to use.
Yeah.
Right. Beyond that, I don't want this at all. Like
Yeah.
at all one bit. I want nothing to do with it. My my second favorite team for the longest time has been the Patriots, and I just
Yes, sir.
love that whole run with Tom Brady that they did. And look at Belichick; he gave away nothing, and they tried to get every competitive advantage that they could. And so I think when we're talking about a sport like basketball, and I had a personal conversation with my co-host today. We're definitely going to uh, probably do a show and mention some of this stuff. But when it comes to a sport like basketball, even at the championship level, you're playing in a series, right? And
Yeah.
in a series format,
Yeah.
more likely than not, usually, I mean, there are underdogs, there are upsets, but typically the better team wins. It's a lot
Yeah.
harder to do it 4 times. You best believe that if the NFL was in a series format, that nobody would beat the Chiefs. I mean, because
Sure.
we're looking at a league with the NFL that
Yeah.
a guy like Dan Marino, who had statistics that could be even plugged into today's game and be very positive, never won a Super Bowl. We're talking about a guy as skilled as Aaron Rodgers, only won one Super Bowl. What if he didn't? If he didn't win that one, the whole conversation about him would be very, very, very different. So that one means a lot. I know we've had Tom Brady win so many, and I know we've had Patrick Mahomes rattling off a couple now, but these teams are looking for every single advantage because it's not a serious thing. It's a do or die, one game at a time thing when it gets to the playoffs. So, um, you know, one game can be affected by a lot. It can go multiple different ways. Any given Sunday is the term for a reason, right? So more likely
Yes,
than
sir.
not, there is a better team than another team. However, anything can happen on a football field, and that's one of the greatest things about this sport. So I think you're always looking to get any kind of competitive edge you can. And I think when you're in it, I mean, we're not in it. We're not. That's not our job there. But when it is, oh, other teams are gonna be noticing stuff watching Hard Knocks about the
Yeah.
Bears that they can use to their advantage. I love that clip that came out recently with Caleb and Brian Dable. But
Yeah.
even something like that it's also telling to other teams like, hey, this is what this kid is capable of. That's
Yeah.
why you interview these guys knowing you don't have the chance to draft them, because you just want to go in there and talk to them and see what they're about and see what the Bears are about to get. You know what I mean? Like, do your due diligence. So yeah, I mean, I don't like the fact that it's going to be on it. It's going to be great content for all the fans out there. And you're right, not all the fans are as in it as I am. I have a lot of personal friends that are very mild fans, and they're going to love it. They're going to get to know
Yeah.
Caleb who he is because they're not going to watch anything otherwise. So
Well, and then also too, the piggyback off what you said, I do want to get into that, the Gable and all that, and what you saw, the film, what everything happened. We'll table that for a second because first off, I want to welcome to the show Ed Buck Nasty. How you doing, Buck?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
Good, man. Hey, thanks for answering the bell, both of you. Short notice. I misread my notes, and none of us were supposed to be on tonight, and everybody that was supposed to be here isn't. And so, actually, this is a few times that Paul has been on with us, and I owe a great deal of gratitude and appreciation for Cliff for connecting us together because I might be back where I was, where I was talking to myself in a garage without anybody to break down all this stuff. So same with you, Buck. You've filled in a couple times here and there, did some mop up and showed out, and it's kind of like whoever answers the bell, we are prepared. We got together and we talked about this, hashed it out. We got a good show outline, and these guys are skilled. So you're going to have a good show. It's not, going to be silly, but we're passionate fans. So, and we appreciate you guys too that are in the chat. Everybody that's in the chat, Cliff, Cheryl, Bruja, Hank, Aaron, everybody that's in here. We appreciate you guys showing up and showing out. And Cliff, really quickly, I just wanted to say something. I don't have any doubts of Caleb. this comment here, and I don't think you feel that I have doubts of him either. What I mean by being a silent assassin and just flying under the radar is just that. It's not that I don't have any, doubt in his skill. I kind of want to just, like I just kind of get in there and get the troops in and get out with the W, because they are going to start circling us early and often once they see what we see. You know what I mean? So that's all. I don't want anyone to play up and just kind of get away with a couple dubs and get some momentum going and get these guys dialed in. It's nothing big, it's just a thought. That's all. So yeah, for me, I'm good. I'm solid on Caleb. We're all good, brother. But like I said, thanks for Aunt Mass. Thanks for showing up too. Everybody, if there's anybody else that we missed, Cheryl, thanks for the score updates and all that kind of stuff. But let me kick this off and ask Buck a question, and then I'll ask you one, and we'll just keep it going with that, guys. Buck, do you think the Bears are most anticipated? This is the most anticipated training camp since 2007 NFC Championship?
I do, man. We possibly even before that. We've really never been stacked like this roster is. I don't ever remember them being, aside from the 85-86 Bears. Even then, there's a couple groups that are still, I think, are stacked more than them. This roster is stacked almost everywhere. So yeah, it's highly anticipated, and there's high hopes, and of course, we're all Bears fans, so we know that could go the other way. But I'm hopeful, and as far as this Hard Knocks thing, man, I'm not a fan. Um, I'm not a fan of the show. I think I watched the very first Hard Knocks and didn't like it, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the Bears were never on it. And of course,
Yeah.
you know they was going to do it this year with with our
I had a feeling.
agency and our draft and what polls put together for so far. And we still
Yeah.
we may add some stuff, but they was going after us. It was kind of a no brainer, but I don't like it. I don't want to be on it.
Yeah, and it really quickly, and this doesn't take anything away from the younger, less savvy or seasoned, Bear fan, but Buck's been through it all. He's been around. He's seen the 85 Bears, and he even had whiskers and a full, he was mature.
Bears, but
Yeah, so he's seen it all, So when he's talking about '07 and that there's even more excitement to this, that takes a lot for him to say, because make no mistake about it, the guys that have been and watched through all this had been through football purgatory for 40 years. For them to say that, for him to say that, that's special. So that's really cool, and says in of itself, because he saw and remembers the greatness of Sweetness and that defense and everything that transpired. So and I'm not putting words in his mouth. I'm not saying that that's what we're chasing, that's what we're close to. But I mean, back to the '07 championship, where he just said that we didn't have a team as developed or well filled out as we do now back in '07, but we were still excited about that roster. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and so Paul, what is unquestionably the Bears' biggest question entering camp that will ultimately be the ride or die issue that will determine if Caleb the Chef Williams and the Bears roar back to the NFL playoffs in 24, bro?
What is the biggest question? I think it's just, does this all gel? Does this all come together? We've seen situations before, like with the Eagles, when they put that great defense together. They were calling themselves the dream team during the offseason. What happened? Right? and it all fell apart for them really quickly. So it's if they will roar back to the playoffs in 2024, man, that's going to be such an accomplishment if they do. It really is.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that needs to happen here beyond just Caleb Williams succeeding. But honestly, a lot those ride in his shoulders. I think this team is built in a way where it could win in a variety of forms. So I'm interested to see how this will all come together with the running game, with the offensive line, and just with the play of Caleb Williams. And so I guess, I don't think he's going to be asked to do too much. So just go there, play clean. Don't turn the ball over. What we don't want is fumbles. What we don't want is interceptions. And if you do, you better not do it again. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those things where, like, yeah, you got to sometimes make mistakes, but you better learn from them. And I just wanted to comment real quick, too, on that nice intro you gave me. So, yeah, thanks again for having me on. And anytime I can chime in and be a part of this, I definitely enjoy all the fans in the chat. Ant Mass, Cliff, Plank is out there now, too, and everything. They're all such dedicated listeners that it's always a blast to be able to sit there and have a conversation and then have these dedicated fans join in and listen. So I actually had a little commercial I put together for my channel that I kind of wanted to share with you guys real quick. And if you don't mind. So once again, youtube.com/@BearskiFilm. I just kind of put it's under 2 minutes, a little video together of just, a couple little clips from some of the things we said throughout the season, whatnot. Somebody asked me to do it. So enjoy, everybody. Let's check it out. What matters most is our opinion. Appreciate all of our subscribers. We appreciate every view we get. We're going to sit here and we're going to speak our minds, whether it's popular or not.
The contradictory thing is that now we have Keenan Allen, you have DJ Moore, you're going to add more pieces, but Caleb Williams is supposed to throw for 4,000 yards also, yet if he doesn't, he's a failure. So rather than giving him excuses as a rookie, we're going to be lambasting him or crucifying a rookie 23-year-old, 22-year-old for not having an outstanding performance as a rookie quarterback.
Is it the best plan? Probably not. But in the press conference after the game, Getsy stated that was the plan. To sit there and fumble it and let the other team go and score a touchdown? That can't be the result of that either.
You're thinking Caleb Williams throwing it down out of bounds, to your point, down the field.
Great job, man. Good job.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's something small I put together. So, yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed that. But, I also kind of wanted to answer that first question you talked about is this the most anticipated training camp since their 2007 NFC championship? And, last year wasn't it? Wasn't the narrative last year that this is the most important offseason since the 85 Bears, right? And the fact that Carolina lost all those games and gave us the number 1 overall pick, that's what makes this year even more important than last year, right? So I think thank you very much, Mike. So I think that for the second year in a row, we're experiencing one of the most important off seasons that we can remember. And so it is an exciting time to definitely be a fan.
Well, and what else is special about this is he continues to, and what I mean by he, and not just him himself, because the sum is greater than the parts, is that everybody that's involved, not just Poles, but everybody he entrusts, including Ian Cunningham, who he could have easily walked out, but even he trusts the process and sees what's going on in the building and wants to stay another year. Hopefully another after that. Who knows? Because he's going to make his money. He's going to go somewhere, and he's just building onto his resume. And anybody that gets Ian is gonna have something really special on his hands. And the great part is he doesn't overdo himself. Like, we only had 4 picks and he made them all count. It was special. He made these 4, but and they didn't. Hard Knocks, they weren't as interested in the Bears last year. It was Caleb and Rome that put the cherry on top that really made it. So now it's like knock. It's like, it's cool, man. Everything's coming together at the right time. The first year was basically their tear down, so you can't really, listen. If the walls ain't even up, you can't complain that the roof is leaking, because you got to have walls in order to freaking set the roof, right? So that's the whole thing. Is like, people were complaining about like an unfinished product, and then the first year after tearing it down. So that would be year 2, but actually the first year you could actually add to it in the draft. They identified the defense, 2 second round picks, because we didn't have a first, right? So we went out and got those guys. Then this year was about the offense, year 3. So, and I could see why somebody would say 5 when you have such a huge mess. And he's done a really good job, and I'm feeling good about it. But for me, I say, yeah, this is the most exciting season, because we actually got somebody that appears to have it all figured out as far as a QB could coming into the NFL. And I'm really excited about his leadership on and off the field too, the way he carries himself, the way he projects himself, the way he talks, the way he walks. There are silent leaders. There are quiet strength individuals, like a Tony Dungy or, a Lovie Smith or whatever. But with Caleb, he's able to talk and explain things and make greatness out of people. And you really have to explain your story and everything. And he's good at that. And I applaud him for that. And he's came on strong. And you think that somebody would grow into that, right? You always think, oh, well, another year. This guy was ready for it right away, man. And it's great. Like, there might even be some veterans out there that we could have signed, Paul and Ed, that don't even have the way that he can, project and talk about things. So, but I have a question.
Real quick, though. I think the biggest difference, like in detail, is that in years past, when we've had good teams, we've had to push the chips all in at some point. We had to go out and trade a first-round pick for Khalil Mack. We had to go out there and get Julius Peppers. We had to go out there and tie ourselves down to either spent draft capital or spending money
or both
on guys, or both. You're right, or both, in order to get ourselves into a position where we can compete. This is different. This still has multiple paths in front of us. If this fails, we could go this way. If this fails, we could go this way. If this fails, we could go this way. There's no big contracts you're really tied down to. So, but yeah, we're still at a point where we're expecting to compete. So I think that's how it's different. Because I always say it feels different. It feels different. Well, why? I think personally,
and I think the infrastructure is more. We're insulated way better than Houston was when they got their quarterback. Like, there's a big comparison, and they struck gold, went to the playoffs, whatever. But dude, who's really worried about the AFC South? They're soft. Like, you look at our division, it's tough, bro. Like, they easily, if they were in another division, I don't know if Houston wins those games for sure. Like, honestly, and it's not even about that. It's not even a true apples to apples comparison. All I'm saying is, if you look front to back, we are insulated and we are galvanized, like, front to back. The roster is built great for Caleb, for him coming on right now. It hasn't been done this way, and I'm really excited, and it takes pressure off of that guy where he could just be more of himself, you know what I mean, and still grow. He's going to grow. He's not fully matured yet, dude.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Brandon, also look at the landscape of the NFL. On the AFC side, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Lamar Jackson, you got Joe Burrow, you have Josh Allen, right? Man. You have Tua's playing pretty good. You have Justin Herbert out there, right? CJ Stroud's part of the AFC now. So like me and my co-host always talk about like if Josh Allen went to the NFC,
Yeah.
he's probably making the NFC Championship every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Just because
Yeah.
he's that good of a quarterback. And like, who do you have here on the NFC side? Who? Dak
Right.
Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like okay, Matt Stafford did it, right? Jared Goff's playing at a good level in a good part of his career. But like, we even had
And
Aaron
all
Rodgers.
roads in the AFC have to go through Patrick Mahomes. So there's no Patrick Mahomes right now in the NFC that I'm aware of, because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and everybody, even the NFC's got to go through Patrick Mahomes. But if you
I'm just
want
saying,
to
this
get
is
to
good
the
for
AFC
Caleb.
Championship, it's Pat. Yeah.
This is
No,
good for Caleb though, because
Yeah.
the NFC quarterback play is not that great. It really
Right.
isn't.
No, for sure. Hey, and then also, I think Ed had to, unfortunately, I wanted to ask him one more before he had to dip, but hopefully he circles back. So
My bad. I
what do
didn't
you
realize it was on a time limit. I would have.
Yeah, I was
My bad.
it's good, bro. We're good. What is the biggest roster question entering camp, would you say?
I think Ant Mass pointed it out in the chats. He said, "Next year, are we drafting all trenches?" Because I mean that's the obvious weakness. D line, right?
Well, to me, and you know what? I have to say something, because not every defensive line, not every offensive line has perennial bowl linemen all the way across. And that goes for the offensive line too. I can remember countless times, and living in Northwest Indiana, there's a lot of South Bend, but we get mostly Chicago Bears, right? Because we're in the Chicago media area, where it only takes me 35 minutes to get to Soldier Field, when I go there for the tailgates at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, 35 minutes to get there. It's beautiful. A straight shot, no problem.
Yeah, but that ride on 94 right there is probably the worst highway.
Not at 5-6 o'clock in the morning. It ain't.
No, that's true. Yeah, careful.
Get there at 35-40 minutes, straight shot. It's beautiful, man. It's barely any miles at all. I love it, man. I'm right state line. Boom. How you doing?
I always thought
in and out.
That's the best view of the city. Whenever I have family come from Poland, I try and go all the way south, and I try and come up 94, because there's one moment where you really truly see the whole Chicago skyline.
But you're talking about the Colts that's almost 2 hours south, and that's just. But anyways, getting back to my point about Getting back to the point about the Colts, is that the Colts, man, there was times where they wouldn't even have a first round freaking offensive lineman. He would turn those guys, and then the receivers that they had, Stokely, Harrison, Wayne, Marcus Pollard, and then Dallas Clark, linebacker from tight end University, Iowa, turned into a tight end from linebacker originally. They had a really good team. Went from Marshall Falk to Joseph Adaya. You look at the offensive linemen, he turned them into great offensive linemen. And when they weren't, he moved the pieces around and did all this, and Omaha out and moved guys, this and that, squeezed everything out to the last half a second, hiked the ball without a delay, and orchestrated it all, first down. And my point
same
is,
thing with the Patriots. The Patriots had at one point Nate Solder, one first round pick on the entire offense.
So you don't have to have, and we are being extremely hard on this offense, because we have another quarterback who can identify defenses, and I will get to that in a moment with you about Hard Knocks as soon as we get some of these questions down, hopefully, Lord willing. But my point is that, it's a whole different dynamic, and this offensive line and this defensive line is going to fire differently. I'm telling you, I had Tommy Harris on, and he's saying that 3 technique that we've got, Jervon Dexter, I'm sure you got film on. I said, so how important is a 3 technique? Why is there so much attention on this 4-3? He goes, on a 4-3 defense, the 4-3 defense, Tommy Harris, who played the position, and I listen to him more than anybody, because up until he severely injured his leg, dude, he was going places.
It starts at the 3 technique.
He said that the 4-3, this is what Tommy said. Tommy said that the 4-3 defense, the engine is the 4-3. He said the 3 technique is the ignition. Like you just said, it starts with it. It's the ignition. It makes everything happen. And he believes in this Jervon, dude. So if he believes in him, I believe in him. more than any fan or anybody else. I'm sorry.
Man.
Until proven otherwise, I'm a big Tommy fan. I believe in that dude from Texas. And I believe, and there's already one, right? There's already one. Now we've got a guy in Sweat. That's two. And they can make the other bookend on the other end, whoever it may be, look really good because they got to double up. And now we've got a guy that likes to put pressure and blitz packages from linebacker to defensive back. We're going to see a lot of cute little, zone blitzes and all different types of things, because here's the thing. Our defensive coach, who was our head coach, who didn't get to be the guy that he got to be because he had to wear two hats and not focus on being a head coach overall. Now he has a guy in Washington who came from Buffalo and was a great defensive coach who blitzed crazy. This is not the same team, guys. It's going to be a different defensive look. The offensive line, as long as Tevin Jenkins is healthy, right? And as long as Nate Davis, and that's a tall order to ask, but we've got other guys that can fill in. And we also have a really great right tackle in Darnell White. You don't have to have amazing offensive line, perennial Pro Bowlers. I mean, even the Cowboys had that for a long time. And where did that get them? Nowhere. They still didn't even get it done, even with multiple first-round picks all the way from the center to the left tackle. And I played left tackle, and I'm going to tell you something. The best, smartest guy on our team for offensive line, which is a team in of itself, was our center. Brilliant mind, very smart. He orchestrated everything. He picked up the blitzes. He recognized stuff, talked to the left guard, talked to the right guard. They, from there on out, were the conduit and spread it out to the left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. Those guys can galvanize and make the center play smarter. The center can make the guards play center smarter, and the guards can make the tackles play smarter, and they can all work in of itself. You don't have to have an amazing offensive line. It ain't rocket science. All they need to do is be able to play and not do a bunch of line changes. It will happen because you're not going to play those same five ugly guys up front. They're third down. They're going to need a breather. You're going to see a guy, his hands on his hips, his hands on his knees. He's sucking in air. He's got the ox. He's going to need a break. Get the Gatorade, get the juices flowing, and then send him back up there to be the starter. You're going to need that kind of stuff. And Flus likes that. He's already said, you're not going to see ungodly numbers from my defensive line because I like to keep it fresh. I like to, how you doing, keep it moving, switching them in and out. And the same thing with the offensive line. I'm telling you, we're not that far away. You guys are putting a lot of pressure on these guys. We got a very much smarter offensive coordinator who has been battle tested, and he's already done it. The guy we had before, Getsy, ridiculous. He's gone. Get him out of here. Now we've got him that's going to call the right plays instead of freaking screenplays 400 times a game. It's going to be great, man. I'm telling you, our offensive line and defensive line, they're going to surprise the crap out of you guys. I'm telling you.
Because it's
– Go ahead, bro.
Listen, I hear you. And it's this conversation that I've died on a hill on, preaching over and over and over. Listen, everything matters. Coaching matters. Sure, great coaches matter, right? But Andy Reid was fired at one point.
Yeah.
He was fired, right? So the thing that matters most is the quarterback. You don't need enough amazing offensive line, Brandon, when you have an amazing quarterback.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's hard to find an amazing quarterback. So some teams will decide to build up in other ways. There's different ways to win out there. And like I said, all you're trying to do is get one. If you want sustained success, amazing quarterback, amazing coach, you need both those at least, minimum, right?
Yes, sir.
But the impact of a quarterback is so huge. And it's one of those things I've seen with Tom Brady over and over and over. The reason why man was able to play till he was as old as he was is because, well, when the left tackle did give up that one or two plays a game, you recognize it and just spike the ball. Live to another down. Okay.
Yes.
Now that doesn't go on the stat sheet. That doesn't make the highlight reel. That's just
No.
live to play another down. And that's on
And you do a lot of videos. You do a lot of videos, and I'm happy that
Yes.
you recognize that, because you know
Of
what pissed me
course.
off the most?
I
You
told
know
you,
what pissed me
I'm a
off the
fellow
most
fat guy.
is
I don't want to
when we
run
didn't throw-
downfield chasing you either. I don't want to
Yeah.
run side to side. I want to
and
push.
throwing
I
the
wanna
ball
pass and
out of
push.
bounds. How about you just throw the ball out of bounds and live to play
For real.
another day? And
For real.
3rd and short or 3rd and 5 or whatever instead of 3rd and 18. And you know what? The guy who plays.
That's why Russell Wilson lived for 9 years straight in this league, being a mobile quarterback, because he was smart.
Yeah.
Toss it out,
No.
whatever. He slide, never take a hit. Like, he made it, as even at being a mobile guy, he made it easier on those 5 guys in front of him to do their job. And you have that impact available from the quarterback position for sure. And now, as far as the defensive position, like you said, the 3 technique is what makes the 4-3 go.
Yeah, but hold
it's-
on. Hold on.
Sure,
I want to
sure,
touch
sure.
on something you just said about Jason McKee. He said there is no play in the NFL for freaking 3rd and 18. And how many times did we see that last year? Because the offensive coordinator was not drawing up the right place to put freaking Fields in the right framework of success, and not throwing the ball out of bounds when there's nothing to, when there's no receiver open. Instead of running, throw it out of bounds and have a short yard, backup punt, whatever. There's, all this type of stuff comes into play when we're talking about just growth and development, and just a simple, you're not going to have it on your highlight reel. It's not going to endear people and make it exciting, but it's what matters. It's between the X's and O's framework,
there. It's definitely there. It is there for sure. And one of the times it popped up really, really clearly was at the very end of the season against the Packers. Packers, every time I put video together, let's say I'll do like, hey, all offense this game, right? Okay, the first thing I look at is how many offensive drives were there. Because I got to make the slides in Photoshop of, hey, drive 1, drive 2, drive 3. Right? So I like to get that out of the way first. And usually between 8 and 12. I mean, we had a couple 4 turnover games. We had a couple 3 turnover games. In those games, you typically get 10 to 12 offensive possessions. In a normal game, you get 8. And last week against the Packers, we got 6. You know what they did? They played keep away, and they said, go ahead and make the most out of each possession you have. And we couldn't.
Yes, sir.
Deep 3rd down, 3 and out, like you're saying. And because we don't get chance after chance after chance after chance, you know what I mean? We wind up scoring 9 points. To me, it's very much laid out when I'm putting highlight video together and stuff like that, because I look at that type of stuff. I look at the structure of the game and the flow of the game and the way it went. And we shot ourselves in the foot over and over and over and over. It did. And so, listen, these are all things that can be fixed by a quarterback. It's insane. Because
let me ask you this, to piggyback off of what you just said about shooting yourself in the foot. Who shot themselves in the foot so many times last year that they're still on our roster, but they have the hottest roster? They're the hottest roster position, and they will possibly be cut. That's on the hot seat. Who is that guy?
Man, listen, throughout the season, I found that they all took turns.
Oh,
I really did. Like, there was there was failure in different places all over the place. The one guy that I think is on thin ice, that like if he makes another mistake, he's gone. It has to be Velus Jones, right?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, like if he gets fumbles the ball again, turns the ball over again, like that's it. You're gone. In my opinion, I'm already done with them. Right? I feel one of the faults I've seen out of this organization, which, listen, like I said, I love Ryan Poles and everything he's doing, but we always talk about the positives and the negatives. One of the negatives is they have stretched some stuff out a little too long. Chase Claypool was here a little longer than he should have been. You know what I mean? There's been some things that they want to keep giving these guys chances. I get it. And Velus Jones is one of those guys that they want to keep giving a chance to.
Yeah.
But like I would have definitely moved on by
I think he might have already been if they didn't have the change about the kickoff, and people feel like that, and then the screen and the sweeps and all that kind of stuff, in ways that he can that they're just giving him a shot, and Tyler Scott dropping some balls and all that. not really what as far as the receivers go, we really just started to put it all together this year, right? When we got a free agent, in Keenan Allen for a 4th round pick, and we got a 1st round draft pick in Odunze. So it just kind of all came together right now. So there's a lot to iron out in training camp, but I agree with you. My answer, and we didn't even talk about this at length before the show, we're 100% agreement with Velus, and I don't even care. I'm not even like, well, I hope he gets it right, and blah, 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 blah. I care more about the $10 million question mark in Nate Davis protecting Caleb than I do about freaking Velus is expendable right now in terms of we have loaded receivers, and I'm big question mark on my starting right guard. That's all,
He's very lucky we're thin on the line, man, because my co-host David called me like 2 weeks ago on my ride home, and I was like, hey, what's up, David?
Yeah.
He's like, cut him right now. I was like, what? Who are you talking about? He's like, Nate Davis didn't show up again. Like, he's like, I'm done. He's like, if you're not in, you're not in. Like, I get the excuses last year, whatever. Now you're doing it again. Like, come on, guy. You don't get better by not practicing. That's for sure. So you should be there. And the one thing with the offensive line is, listen, I think you're right when you said, hey, this could be very much improved this year. The play style alone could be enough of a change to help these guys get a lot better. I actually think we saw an example of it last year. Justin Fields was getting 3 to 5 sacks a game, every game, pretty much getting sacked 3 to 5 times. Yeah. First, listen, he was on pace to double what Andrew Luck went through. Double it. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of my questions always was like, say he even does figure it out at this point, is he going to survive in this league for a long time? Like,
yeah.
Honestly, one of the best things for him might be to sit a year, because that kid went through hell in 3 years. 3 years, most sack quarterback. Like, you're talking about 100 sacks a year. That's
right.
Crazy. So,
yeah.
So with that being said, when Tyson Bagent came in for the 4.5 games, different play style, there was 5 sacks over those 4.5 games. It went down to like 1 a game.
Wow.
All due to play style alone. I'm not saying Bagent's better than Fields or anything. No. I'm just saying they're definitely 2 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When it comes to releasing the ball quick.
Yeah.
And those sack numbers dropped drastically. So yeah, that, and you know what? But overall, and like you said, you played a little bit, and I mean, people have to understand.
He played a lot, just not at the level of NFL.
Yeah, these guys want to get paid, though. Okay, how do they get paid at the end of the year? By their numbers. If you keep letting up sacks, you're going to get less money.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to play harder for a guy that makes them look better. It's a win-win at the end of the day. And when you're sitting there running around, like I said, doing all, chasing down a mobile quarterback and this and that, and then you wind up with some negative play.
Yeah.
Sure, there's some of them are 60-yard scrambles for touchdowns. Some of them are amazing, but you're restless. And then those negative plays, you're way more deflated mentally. I believe it. You're just like, here we go again. And so I think, like I said, I think the play style alone can make a huge difference for the offensive line. We'll see though. I'm really interested in how the running game is going to look, to be honest with you. So, that's one of my biggest questions in all this, is because I think that's going to go through some of the most change on the offense.
Well, and Chicago is known for running the football, and to have a really good defense helps, right? And also,
we're also known for losing. So it's like, just because we're known for it doesn't mean we got to keep repeating it, though, right?
In order to take up the pressure for, your rookie quarterback, you got to develop that run game and give him some breather, give him some time. And, not always are we going to have, look, he's not going to be looking at 8 men stacked in the box all the time type, but at some point they've got to see that and set up his play action and really open it up. So that run game is very important, especially in tumultuous, rough weather. Like when we played against San Fran in Chicago, I was there at that game, and it was like a monsoon. Water was pouring, and I mean, I was soaking wet down to my underwear. I even had a freaking poncho on. My shoes was soaking wet. It was just cascading, and that was where Fields and our running game, looked really good against the San Francisco Niners, and we were able to beat them because playing a dry San Fran in San Francisco would have not been the same outcome at all, especially if they had Brock Purdy.
Brandon, I called my co-host at halftime.
Yeah.
And I told him, I go, this might have been the worst first half of football I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, you were there. You remember it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bad the first half. But like, hold on, new coordinator was just and I was shocked they pulled out a win that game. Shocked.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you a question because with all these offensive pieces, in my mind, there is one thing here that can truly be the variable to have success, and it's known as a safety blanket, the tight end. With these three wide receivers, with everything we got going on with the new quarterback and everything, I think Cole Kmet has an opportunity here to have a career high season because, I mean, you're not going to focus on him. I forget to put him in half my highlight videos.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think Cole Kmet is going to come out and have a much better year than he has? Because he stayed pretty consistent year to year.
I don't think. Okay, here's my thing, and hear me out. I think with the offensive coordinator and Shane Waldron, right? I think he adapts and overcomes, and I think he tries to use whatever your strong suits are on the team. He tries to work within that frame, and I think that's what he does best. And that's what we talked about earlier in the season, when you talked at the upper brass of Chicago, they says, we want people to be able to adapt, overcome, and change on the fly, those type of people inside the building. And I think that's what we're going to see. And I think that's what he did in Seattle, where they had a couple good receivers, right? Running backs that's, up and down, injuries, blah, 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 whatever. Offensive line, not the best. But some of its parts, he had to use the tight ends, even though you look at the numbers as the tight ends, they're towards the bottom, but they were targets. For some reason, everybody thought that we're just going to be this like jumbo, but we're not because we got all these receivers. So to answer your question, since I went all the way around the block and said I could have just went across the street, to give you this answer is that I do think that he is going to be able to not have chip block and always assume that responsibility of blocking and then going out for a pass. I think he's going to be able to go out for passes. I think he's going to pick up more yards. I also think that the backup tight end number 2 coming in and giving him a fresh look, or if he's a little bit banged up on a certain week, and maybe he doesn't play a full game and he gets his rest. So, whatever. I think it's going to be very good, man. I'm very happy that we picked up the tight end Everett from San Diego. I'm very happy with that. Yes, I do think he's going to have a great season. And yes, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to forget about him, but that's going to be to our advantage, bro, for sure.
Yeah, and like from putting together the video, I noticed that a lot of things that Getsy had Kmet do was he would have him just go across the whole line and pretty much chop block the defensive end.
Yeah.
Or whoever the rusher is on the other side of the line. There were a lot of plays where he wound up doing that. So I definitely think he's going to be put into more of a traditional passing scheme tight end role. But
yeah,
if it did anything for him, he has improved as a blocker over these last 2 years greatly.
Yeah.
So he's at a point in his career, like John and chat said, hey, they paid him $50 million for a reason. Yeah, they did. And he's actually been living up to it, I feel. And so now he's in a position where, it's hard to get good at blocking when you don't have to do it all the time. But he did. He was asked to do it for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And now he's got that experience. So now when you come to these critical situations and you need him to block a guy, you can count on him. When you need him to convert a third down, you can count on him. And it might not maybe statistically be better, but I think those yards and catches are going to come at more critical times. I think he is going to be leaned on a lot in clutch moments. Yeah, this is why this is so exciting too, though, Ben, because it's like there is literally no. I mean, I guess you could point to the offensive line, like you said. You could point to the guard position too. The center position has been abysmal here, and like you mentioned, having a good center is so important for the function of an offensive line. The other thing that's important is cohesion and health. So, like I said, I do think they have the guys that are good enough. They got to play together. They got to stay out there as long as they can. But beyond that, there is really no reason why Caleb Williams should not be able to progress.
His offensive line in USC this season was terrible. The year prior to, before they moved on, got drafted, whatever. Obviously, when he had his Heisman Trophy, situation, and he had Jordan Addison as lead receiver and other receivers in that. I mean, it was a great, year, and it showed of itself. And I think they kind of like looked at that as a potential blueprint on what to do as far as Chicago goes in order to see this is what Caleb looks like with, receivers and an offensive line and, Lincoln Riley. But this is what he looks like outside of that without, that offensive line and receivers that barely got drafted, almost became undrafted, but got drafted in the 7th freaking round. So, who do you think is your sleeper pick to make either the starting lineup or the team that, that could be too deep and then eventually possibly even start later on? You know what I mean? Who's your sleeper pick, bro?
Oh, man. This is rough. I don't really know if I even have one because I think Tyler Scott is in that role where I don't think Tyler Scott's a bad receiver by any means.
No,
he's listen, if Komet's forgotten about, he's definitely forgotten about. It's not his fault that the ball was overthrown to him on a couple deep passes and things like that. But that kid's fast, and he is fast, and I liked him last year. And for the position he's in his career and the spot he's in on the roster, I think he could very well surprise some people this year. So yeah, if I had to go with one, I'd go with him. If I had to go with another guy, I was really big on Roschon Johnson last year. And one thing I saw out of that kid is that kid can block. And there's a lot of talk about I heard somebody even mention that Khalil Herbert's blocking inability may actually get him dropped down his depth chart a little bit. And so that is an important part of being a running back because you can't come out there and have the offense be obvious. You can't be like, okay, Khalil Herbert's out here, so they're obviously passing. Like he's not going to stay and block because he sucks. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think Roschon Johnson has the ability to be out there and still do well. I thought he would have broke out a little bit more last year, and his running backs are a dime a dozen. But yeah, so I'm going to go with Tyler Scott and then Roschon Johnson.
Fellas, please hit that like button and subscribe and smash that notification bar. So every time that that bell goes off whenever we have a live segment, just like we do, pretty soon we'll have a live segment at during that whole time from August 31st all the way to the 5th. I'll be in Canton, Ohio. I just got approved a press pass. So I'll be able to interview all of the all the people that are being enshrined this year, class of 24, all the guys, anywhere from Hester to Peppers to, to other guys like Freeney, Patrick Willis, Andre Johnson, all those guys that are there. So, and then all the ones that we've already had interviewed, that Singletary will be there. Dan Hampton is playing with his band and stuff and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be great, man. It'll be exciting. It'll be a nice red carpet experience. It's just, kind of like it's going to be it's surreal. I'm so excited. I can't wait. And I'm happy to bring you guys there and be able to, be a representative of the podcast community, Chicago sports, and just our little community right here, man. And I'm excited for that and be able to get some videos in, some interviews and whatnot. And at the game too, I'll be at the game and I've got a press pass for that. So I'm going to be, right in there asking Caleb some questions and some other guys, whoever is available and I can get to, I'll be throwing some blocks and some elbows and I'll keep it clean, but I'm gonna get in there, man. I'm gonna get some questions off for you guys and definitely rep you guys big time. So I'm gonna make it happen, So
Brandon, before you close
up?
the thing out completely, can I just share one quick little story? One of my favorite offensive lineman stories, since you said you were a left tackle yourself. Oh, and Ed just popped back on too. Maybe he's got another couple minutes. So, okay, this is just going to take a quick minute. One of my favorite stories about offensive linemen in general. I used to listen to Mike and Mike every morning. When I was at my job, I did it for a couple years straight, and they had Mark Schlereth on all the time. He was offensive lineman for the Broncos and the Redskins.
Yeah, man.
Pardon me. The Commanders. Sorry, PC, But he shared a time. He said, man, when I started out, he's like, I was a backup. And he's like, as a backup lineman, you don't really expect to go in there often. And he's like, and I don't know if you noticed or not, he's like, there's no porta potties on the sideline. He's like, so when we're sitting there on the bench, he's like, if I got to go, he's like, I'm going.
I remember this. I remember him saying that.
Going. He's like, I just got done relieving myself. He's like, and once you know it, the center starts grabbing his hamstring. He limps off the field. They're like, Mark, you got to go in there. And I forgot which quarterback he said, but he said, man, that guy got the sloppiest snap of a wet peed on football that any quarterback has ever gotten. He's like, and the funny part was, it was like a little Charlie horse. The center was back in the next game, or the next play or whatever. So he literally went in for one play, snapped a pea ball, and went back to the sideline. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that offensive lineman story. It's one of my favorites.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Folks, we're getting ready to get into another segment of Bears entering the school of hard knocks. And that's brought to you by TC's World of Wonders, the undisputed champion of online sports deals. Get suited up for the upcoming Bears season in TC super saving style at tcsworldofwonders.com. They gave me a bunch of they didn't give me, but I'm putting them out there. Still waiting on your 4XL. Ed should be here any day because that was a special order coming back through. But we've got like 7 in the building right now, and they're only $50. It includes shipping and the tax and everything, and he gives you a 30-day warranty. It's good quality stuff, stitched. Ed, you saw it.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah. So they're, Nike, we love them. I've got one. I've got a Dunze and Caleb, and I got 7 others. So if you guys want one, inbox me, I'll get it out to you, and all that kind of stuff. And you can get any type of jersey you want. So it's a great deal. Now, if you want a 4X, it's $5 more because, or 5X. Anything above 4X is additional $5 because it's more material.
Above 3X.
3X is you're same the print. You're good, bro. You're good. We're all good.
No, I said anything above 3X. You said anything above 4X.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for catching that, man.
Well,
yeah. So anyways, the Bears are about to start school under the bright lights of Hollywood. NFL Films and HBO's hit show Hard Knocks will be at every second of every practice. They'll be at every drill and team meetings, capturing the dawn of Caleb Williams' era in high-def intensity, up close and focused. Taylor Swift doesn't get this much coverage. It's going to be special. So the Bears debut August 6th at 8 p.m. on HBO and will run Tuesday through the entire summer, boys. So yes or no, Ed? Hard Knocks will be a distraction for this team or the Bears, or do you think the Bears are made for this, bro?
No, absolutely a distraction. There's no way it couldn't be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
what about you?
If that's all Ed's got to say, I will double down. Yeah, distraction for sure. Listen, there's one thing that I think might happen, and I think some of these younger players, they're all about branding themselves and things like that. So personally, for selfish reasons, they may enjoy it.
Right.
But beyond that, there is nothing beneficial that can come really from this.
To the team, no.
Yeah, no. You can't.
No.
That's a short no for sure.
What do you guys, Ed? What do you expect to learn about this from the team, and particular Caleb Williams' leadership abilities as a rookie from the show?
From the show.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we it's going to give us some insight to them. I mean, all we know of them, we know very little. I mean, in the first stuff we started hearing about them, half of it was a bunch of made up bullshit, rumors, basically that got proven to be false. Um, uh, in what little bit we've seen of them, surely like them, but don't really know the kid still. We got tape on them, right? Bearsky did his 2-minute thing, and he had a lot of the college highlight clips on there. That's all good looking stuff, but you know, I think we'll get to know Caleb and several other and look, we'll get to know, I think, players that we've already had better. Sort of fan wise, it's probably a good thing, but unless you're unless you're the fan that's thinking about the team and the best thing for the team and knowing damn well that's really not the best thing for them. They could use especially this season training camp with no distractions like that,
right.
man. Just it's too bad that it's all hitting there at the same time, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Paul, there's a reason this is the Bears' first time being featured on Hard Knocks. This team has infamously been primetime ready in recent seasons. Would this show have worked during the Justin Fields era, do you feel?
I mean, I don't think like you have to define works. I don't think it works now. So, you know what I mean? No, it's never a good thing. I mean, would it have worked? Listen, Fields was in a spot where his career is coming to a do or die moment. You know what I mean? And so you want to be all focused in on football and those little things. Listen, like I mentioned earlier, there was a clip that came out with Caleb and Brian Dable, just talking about Brian Dable asked him, "Hey, if you had to run one offensive play,
Yep.
45 times in a row, all game, you get one offensive play.
No,
What is?
yes, he's gone.
No, this is Brian Dable from the Giants.
I was joking.
Oh yeah, so he was, they were interviewing Caleb, and Caleb drew it up, and he's like, I know this play. He's like, so Caleb's like, well, okay, if you do cover 3, you do this. If it's cover 2, you do this. And Brian Abel's like, well, cover 2 is actually the best thing against this play. He's like, do you feel comfortable hitting that inside route over the safety? And he's like, yeah. He's like, have you done it before? And he's like, yeah. And so that's the cockiness you hear about.
Right.
The confidence. He's just like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah. Well, okay. You might be able to do that in college. The NFL might surprise you a little bit more. These guys kind of bite on things a little bit quicker. They disguise things a little bit quicker. But still, it's just like, okay, your ability to be able to do that, I love it. I eat that type of shit up. I'm like, oh my God, perfect. Because I know what my expectation of my quarterback is and its greatness. But I've gotten that expectation from videos of other quarterbacks like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and this and that. I don't need other teams knowing what my guy can do right now. I really don't. And there was a thing that came up once where there was a video, and I think by accident, it might have appeared on Hard Knocks for a team. I can't remember the exact moment, but I think their draft board was in the background by accident. And teams were like, hey, wait, look, pause this. You can see who they have where. You can see who they have listed where. And so it's like, okay, well, that gave you away. You know what I mean? So, yeah, nothing good can come of this. You want to be private as possible, and you want to have all the work be within. So, yeah, I don't like it. And the first time, I don't know if it would have worked with the Justin Fields thing either. Maybe maybe it would have scared me a little bit more seeing exactly how Getsy operated. It would have been like, oh no,
Yeah,
because little details, man, they could tell a whole story. So
yeah. Think about it like in this, what you just said about it was possibly on Hard Knocks, but any time a camera gets around, where they whatever show, whatever team, their draft board was in the picture, right? Yeah, that stuff happens, right? So even the coaches are distracted in the management because they have to make sure that everything's hid. And what are we going to actually show? What are we going to practice? How much are we going to actually show of our stuff in practice, even? And that being said, stuff they should be working on, they're not probably going to be working on because they don't want to show it on TV.
dude, this is why Bill Belichick said nothing and he tried to videotape everyone else. Right? Didn't he get in trouble for
Exactly.
that? Now we're inviting cameras in. Like, come on, guys. I don't know. Like you said, it's all for the fans. It's all for the fans. And it's really not even for the diehards, for the mild and casual fans.
To get a word in, I like what Bruja just said. He said, I'd rather this season than the next 4 when we actually are focusing on expected championships after there's film on these rookies. So please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Every time we have a show on, you'll hear that go off and know that we're on. So thank you guys for joining us. So the next question going out would be Hard Knocks is famous for making media stars out of unknown players. Who is your pick to become a household Chicago and maybe NFL name from Hard Knocks?
You want me to go first?
I
Sure.
think.
Okay, yeah.
Who was the last one to speak?
I
There's a lot of
talk
that.
always.
Probably you, Brandon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With
You
my
were.
question.
But all right. My answer is
Trying to get these questions out so we can
Yeah,
keep
no.
them a little.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, household name. Well, because he was drafted here, I think the personality. Kyler Gordon has a huge one. He seems pretty cool. He seems fun. I could see him. He seems like the goofball in the room sometimes. The guy that I want to give 2 names. The guy that wasn't drafted here that we signed as a free agent, but like whenever I hear him talk in a press conference, I'm just like, man, I just wish you would have just shown up a little bit more. DeMarcus Walker. I don't know if you've heard DeMarcus Walker at all. That guy he's a character.
Yeah.
And he's fun. I don't know if you remember right when we signed him, they asked him, is Justin Fields part of the reason you came here? He's like, fucking yeah. Or like he dropped an F-bomb and like real quick. And he's like, pardon me.
Yeah.
But so like, yeah, I could see either of those guys getting a lot of camera attention for sure.
Ed?
I'm strictly guessing, but I believe Rome,
Yeah.
and I think that kid is super special. I really think he might end up being the best receiver come out of the draft.
It's funny that you say that because with all the attention that the other receivers got being at the front end of the draft,
Yeah,
and him kind of being at the late front end to almost the middle, I have to agree with you. And coming from a school like Washington, Pac-10, all that, that's a good point. That makes sense. And for us and for Washington and that region and this region, of course he's on our radar. But for the average fan who probably doesn't watch the draft or picks up, looks on his phone the next day and say, well, who did we draft last night? Instead of watching the draft every round into the 7th round and being like, how did we do? That kind of stuff. Like, seriously, that's a good, solid pickup. I like that Kyler Gordon. I like what Bruja said about Jonathan Owens. I think Jonathan Owens is a solid one. I like that, we got Simone Biles out of that deal. I think that's super cool. The first time,
Man, is she gonna kill it, huh?
the first time I put her in the hashtags for our show, we got some viewers that I swear they probably didn't know that they were going to be watching some football, podcast stooges, and it was cool though. The numbers went up, and I definitely could tell they were kind of out of sorts, but they checked it out. It was cool. So I'm excited about it. I think that Jonathan Owens is a good one, Brewa, for sure. Ant Mass, he says Toy Taylor. I like that. That's cool. Scottish Bear says I can see a story or someone like Elijah Hicks. I don't know so much about Elijah Hicks. I'll go back to that Walker. I think who was that we had on from? He does a lot of shows too, a lot of film. We had him on. He does some YouTube shows. He was talking about Walker having a really strong end of season and whatnot, and how he could make a leap this year too. So I could see those are all good names. Those are all good names.
Speaking on Rome Odunze though, real quick.
Adam, that's his name.
Oh, Adam Mason.
Yeah, Mason was on here. Yeah.
Very knowledgeable guy. A lot of different areas of football. With Rome Odunze though, I mean, he's got that story that the national media just wants. I mean, I don't know if you guys know it or not. Grew up on his grandfather's farm. His grandfather used to ride a bicycle all the time, got in an accident, went blind, could never watch any of his games. So he sits there and gets the games narrated by his family around him and this and that. And like, so yeah, the Rome Odunze background story, it's there. And it's literally, as far as from like a media angle, I mean, that is gold to them. They're going to eat that up for sure.
Yeah, and I also like, as far as character goes, when you're under the underneath, the microphone, underneath the camera, what you're doing and all that, it really shows and sees a great deal about somebody, whether they're introvert, extrovert, those kind of things. And let's be honest, guys, until football actually starts, we don't really have anything except for us Stooges and some other people on, radio and other podcasts and stuff like that, and some films. And, we're looking, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's almost year round now. So it's kind of cool that Hard Knocks is in our backyard, talking about us. And let's not get it twisted. They're definitely going to be bringing some light about the stadium and all that kind of stuff. So, but I almost am wondering if there's going to be some breaking news from Kevin Warren or something inside the camp about, whether we're going to have a new stadium and all that kind of stuff too. That'll be cool.
There was also a comment earlier that I completely agree with. Better this year than the next four. Like, let's just
that's the one I highlighted.
Like if we're up on the line of being on it, let's just get it over with now.
That was Bruja. I read that out loud. Yeah, Bruja. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's get it over with now. It's a great
point. It's a great point because, sure, okay, everything is kind of new for us too, right? So we're all looking to gel this offense and everything like that. But once you get going here, man, you don't want teams to have any insight on you, period.
Yeah, I agree with what Scottish Bear says, and I haven't even really watched a whole lot of Hard Knocks, but it makes sense. Says the Hard Knocks will take someone that's not household name. They'll take anybody. So, you got.
That's why I said DeMarcus Walker. He's fun, man. He's a lot of fun. You hear him talk. He seems like a fun dude. Like,
you got to make some content, and that's what this industry is all about. So it's going to be cool. For sure.
Brandon, I got a question for you before I had to let you go for the ride home real quick. You made a comment. Well, you call Caleb the chef. Where'd that come from?
That came from Cleat. And I think that's all about letting them cook and all that kind of stuff and whatever.
I thought Foles was to cook.
I think they got two cooks in the kitchen.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, let's not try to ruin a good soup. Maybe one's a sous chef. I don't know, man. I'm getting hungry just talking about it. Let's take it easy, Ed.
All right, one other quick one. You were saying
I got a question for you before you leave. It's a prediction question, so go ahead and ask your question, and I'll counter.
All right, you were saying that. You were saying that Warren could have went elsewhere. Did he actually get an offer elsewhere? I didn't see anything about him getting an offer.
Warren.
Or maybe I'm wrong on the name. Help me out here. Our assistant GM,
Oh, Ian Cunningham.
Cunningham. Right. Sorry.
There was talks about him being shipped off, and then that's when they extended him for another couple years. But he can, if he leaves next year, we can get a compensatory pick for him, taken off or whatever. But I'm hoping that he stays put and we get him for 2 more years. Yeah. But there were
but he
teams,
didn't actually get an offer for a GM job anywhere.
I believe he did, and he turned it down. I believe he did, or there was talks of nothing concrete or substantial, but there was talks about him going and talking to other teams and whatnot, which is interesting because there
we
was.
we might not always know. No, yeah, we might not always know, but I believe there definitely were offers, and just like what Ben Johnson kind of did in Detroit right now. I'm sure he got offers. We're not going to know, but he decided to decline and stay. And so, like, at the end of the day, when you just decline and stay, that speaks a lot because a lot better positions may open up even next year. So I think he only interviewed for.
Scottish Bear just said he got offered the Cardinals job.
There you go. Yeah.
I know we had talked about it at length on one of the podcasts, so that's why I answered your question to me. But Scottish Bear actually was talking about last season too. So yeah, there was a few out there, and we did the show on it. Just for whatever reason, there's so much information that we've been talking about that it's not right up front on this part of the brain, which is still a little loose,
Yeah,
I
know.
But so Ed, here's your prediction, right? What will be the greatest revelation about this team that we will learn from Hard Knocks?
That they're going to surprise a whole lot of people. This team, a lot of people, especially non-Bears fans, but even a lot of Bears fans say, "Oh, you guys are you're expecting too much." They got this and that, but and they got a couple top 10 draft picks and got some supposed studs, but man, it takes time and blah blah blah. Well, if personally, I think the biggest question for me and the biggest thing that I knock polls on is that we really still haven't spent quite the attention that we needed to for the offensive line. But let's just say that he put just enough pieces on this thing and just enough help and backup that the line could actually do a above mediocre job. This team should smoke the league. I mean, this team, I have obviously Bears fan type high hopes, but that's not where I'm at on this thing. I'm not like just wishing and hoping. I look at this roster and I'm saying, man, we could myrtleize some freaking teams out there.
Yeah.
We should. Not could. We should. And I expect us to not only hit the playoffs, but be a contender. That's what I expect. And I think that with your question, what we may see on the show, well, that story will be told on the field and only on the field. But I think that on the show, there'll be enough to open some eyes to, hey, this Bears team's for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is a real lineup we got, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm still hoping that the few bucks we got left that somewhere somebody gets cut from another team, or I want polls to find us one or possibly two more little gems coming into the season here would be really nice. But this team's stacked, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think it's stacked, and it's interesting looking at years past and other teams, and it's like, you always had your Urlacher, you always had your Lance, and then there was the question mark next to that, Hillenmeyer, whatever, always a weak spot. We can always look at that outside of Tillman, or one good safety, not two strong safeties, or defensive line, it just you're never ever going to have filled front to back as deep, but we got the linebackers, we got the DBs, we got the receivers. It's amazing. Like, let's celebrate the fucking wins that we got instead of crying about the shit that we don't got within 3 fucking years. I mean, you guys know I rarely ever curse on this, but I'm at my wits' end with some of the freaking, fans out there that are still freaking poking holes. And to hear a guy that's, been watching football for the last 40, 50 years, and Ed, and I've heard Ed, he's not very high. He's not been very high in the years. He's always got a shade of doubt, always putting me in a check and balance. For this guy to step up and say that says a lot about this team. So shame on anybody that's saying we need to fix the offensive line, we need to fix the defensive line. Celebrate and appreciate all the positive stuff that's going on. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the damn negative. Let's talk about that,
Well, why can't I do both, Brandon? And this is why I even started that little.
I'm not talking about that unless you're feeling.
No, listen, no. It's just
out.
totally describing exactly kind of what my channel is. It's like, man, listen, like
I don't think it's that way.
Well,
I think your channel is about the film.
But we play well. So there's multiple things going on with my channel. I have highlights and I have that, but we also have podcasts. When we talk, we play devil's advocate. We do poke holes at things all the time, and I would say, sure, this team is stacked on the top level. Depth wise, in my opinion, there's still some concerns. Like there is holes you can poke, and I do like to dive into that stuff. And so for me, it's just about
we do too, but that's not what I'm talking about.
But it's what you said. It's when you finally get like a good praise, like I just gave you, it seems to be valued a little bit more because you clearly realize, okay, there isn't as many holes to poke at this year. It is good. It is better than it's been. It is.
Oh,
and,
for
so,
sure.
and so, and so when you dive in and stuff like that, I think that, that's a good balance there. But I think what we're going to learn about this Bears team through Hard Knocks, I don't think we're going to learn much, about the players. It's going to focus more on their characters and things like that. But, I've asked myself, like,
which is a thing now, their characters.
Yeah. But like I said, but it's for them and their brand. But like as far as like the Bears and football go, I've asked myself several times, like, is Eberflus really a good coach? Like, what has he really shown me and done? And so I came up with, okay, at a time when I thought the team was lost, he held it together. In a season where there was chaos, you wound up getting rid of a defensive coordinator early. You wound up getting rid of the offensive coordinator at the end. So that means he didn't do good throughout. You still managed to take over, call plays, keep this thing together, keep the locker room together. Okay, so he's super glue. But beyond that, can I think of anything else? And then I saw a clip like him. He's got nicknames for everybody. Like that's cool. I think after Hard Knocks, I will feel much better about who Matt Eberflus is.
I
think
you're right.
I will know a lot more about why the Bears have decided to go the route of keeping him and staying with him and why he's a good coach. So I think that'll kind of be laid out there a little bit more.
I hope you're right about that because I'd like to see that myself because I'm in the same place as you are with him. And Brandon,
what's up?
We do still have a suspect defensive line and offensive line, and that's the last place I want to have any suspect. That's you've heard me say a million times.
Oh yeah,
that's where we should start. And like I said before, that's my only knock on polls. But I'm hopeful. I'm not saying that we're not dealing with scrubs in there. We got some
No.
people in there that can play, and
Yep.
and we're hoping that all comes together, and our new coaching staff does their jobs, and we figure out the best way to go about everything because of what we have or don't have wherever it is on those lines. Um, but I'm more than hopeful for this season, just because of the overall roster. I mean, I'm real happy with the roster as a whole. It's special. It's special.
Yeah.
It's
And there's four
special. It's special in ways that we've never seen before.
there's four positions that have lots of depth, and they're very key positions as far as like keeping the team afloat at for length. And for them to have this all wrapped up within 3 short years and be where they're at those four positions is simply amazing, because they could just have one or two. But I mean, to see this even at wide receiver, talking to the Bears alumni and them telling me like, bro, like, talking to Kellen Davis the other day, he's like, we never focused on our offense as much as they are right now with these receivers. Never, ever. He goes,
Never ever. That's a
I've
fact.
never seen that. So yeah, for anybody that actually really knows our show, we do poke holes at the offensive line and the defensive line and say we like some depth and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But we also move on, because if you were just talking about sunshine and rainbows the whole goddamn podcast, you wouldn't have nothing, and it wouldn't be much of a podcast, would it?
I found that some of the most successful channels are nothing but rainbows and unicorn and lollipops. I actually, early on when I started my channel, I had some tough words about Kyler Gordon in his first couple games, and people slammed me for it, man. They did not want to hear it, period. And so I said, okay, I guess it's, sunshine and rainbows and lollipops. And then, it finally got to a point where I was just like, you know what, we're just going to say what we're going to say. But, it's not always about the popular opinion. I think being accurate is just being accurate, and just, you know what I mean? It's part of it. Somebody said in the chat, nobody's got a perfect team. No,
Nope.
No.
And when it comes down,
I've said that 100 times on this show. And when I said the fans, I didn't talk about our podcast or even the viewers. It's when you look at these posts and people are beating us up, or even some of like the NFC North, trash talk areas where the Packers or the Vikings or, the Lions will be bashing us and this and that and whatever. Like, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about, where they just don't see what we've got, and why guys like Ed, I've known for a long time, he's been down on what we've got, and rightfully so. He's seen the greatness and the good when we had it. And for him to come out and say that, it speaks a lot. It speaks volume for where we're at, man. It's amazing. I know I keep sounding like a broken record, but I'm just trying to get something out and move on from it, every once in a while. Hey, what's up, Pinky? Thanks for showing up, man. Thanks for being. Pinky just got off over at Costco, and he's one of our guys who leads on Thursday nights. Thanks for coming in, Pinky, and showing up, bro.
I love me some Costco.
Like Pinky said, they see it through us being haters, period. Yep.
Yeah, I've been called a hater a lot.
So
somebody once said they're like, oh, here we go, another fake Bears channel. And I'm just like, yeah, like 500 plus videos in, and this has been our thought process the whole time, that we're just fake Bears fans just because we have some critique for the team. It's not
that. Well, there's been plenty to critique.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's no shortage of the plethora of things you could critique for quite a long time. So hopefully we're heading in a different direction here. We'll see.
Well, it's like Brandon said, there is a lot to be positive about.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot more to be positive about now than there has been in years past. But the only way you're going to come to that conclusion is if you're just real with yourself. You know what I mean? Like I went on one podcast once and you know, like that's why even when your guys did your breakdown here, like
I'm going to bed at midnight.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Even your guys had the Bears like going 7-2 at first, and I was like, oh man, like if that's how they start the season, like yeah, that's great and all, but it's just probably not going to happen that way. So you know, it's the NFL, man. Like I said, any given Sunday, it's a tough sport. So you know, I'm hoping the guys stay healthy.
Yeah,
I think that's one of my biggest factors, and I'm hoping
always.
You know, yeah, and I think
Every
that'll.
team.
Yeah,
As
it's
long
football.
as that happens, yeah. As long as that happens, we have enough to compete for sure.
I like what Scottish Bears says. If you think out of the box on paper, the only one position group on the 2018 team that was better than this was the defensive line. That's good, man. I like that.
And that's correct.
And well, kicker, special teams.
How about it?
Feel way better about Santos than I ever did about. I don't even. I forced myself to erase his name.
Yeah, Cody.
No, don't even say it, man. Come on.
No. How about that punter, guys?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. See, when I say, look, man, Brandon, you know, when I said I was so excited about this roster, and you touch base on, you know, the wide receivers and the linebackers and the getting better in the defensive backfield, and you know,
Tight ends.
tight
Yep.
end. Yeah, but listen, man, nobody talks about it, but that punter that we picked up,
Yeah.
he'll win a couple games this season for us. He will be responsible for a game, possibly two, this season that will be won because of him. That's how good that son will be.
I watched every Iowa game with my buddy that's from, you know, Eric. You met him at the wedding, Ed. He went to Iowa, and we watched every freaking Iowa game outside of being the number one defense in college. That was their shining freaking star for freaking like the guy that you want to watch. There was the offense was horrific. I think I watched one game where they had like 20 yards for the entire freaking game, man. It was ridiculous. The freaking Brickies, the Hobart Brickies could have freaking outscored them, bro. It's ridiculous, man.
Just to remind people, the 2010 Chargers had the number one offense and the number two defense, and they missed the playoffs because they had a 30-second special teams. They're the very worst one. They were letting punt returns, kick returns go. Number one offense, number two defense.
Special teams are big.
Missed the playoffs. We should know. The only reason we had any business in a Super Bowl in 2006 was because of Devin Hester and the special teams. Without that, that team would not have been as good. So yeah, that's the third phase of the game, man. It's huge. Like field positions, huge. And I think a lot of fans are focused on fantasy football, scoring, touchdown, yards, stats. Now, sometimes those things are a roller coaster ride, and that kids could potentially make a boatload of difference. It's one of the reasons why I'm not so worried about some of the lack of depth on the defense, because as long as they're put in great positions, I think it should be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, when you could flip the field 70 yards and put them within their 10, possibly even their 5-yard line, that's huge.
Oh, and it's going to make some guys panic, and you're going to get turnovers from that
too. Sir, points.
Everybody, thanks for hanging up. Everybody, thanks for hanging with us. 1 hour and 40 minutes into the chat, the show. This segment is brought to you by River Street Tavern from East Dundee. First Gastro Pub is your home for delicious food, refreshing drinks, and all Chicago sports. What do you get when the team that needs everything? Well, a lot of everything. The White Sox are facing a must-win MLB first-year player draft this weekend. General Manager Chris Getz and his staff need a grand slam of elite future MLB talent. First pitch goes at 6 p.m. Sunday night on ESPN. Folks, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time about the White Sox. It's been rough. It's been tumultuous. It's been, the Cubs, they're kind of like on a streak right now. They look pretty good. They just, as Cheryl just mentioned, they won tonight. They just had a sweep prior to tonight's win against the Redbirds, the Cardinals. So if they win the next 4 games, it's a 4-game series. If they win the next 3, they'll be at 500, like the first time since like the first quarter of the season. So that's pretty much it for a wrap as far as Chicago baseball goes. I don't want to
I have one quick comment on the White Sox.
Of course you do. What you got?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, my bad. Dude, I have to watch news at work. They were showing the clips of the Twins game. A home run was hit into left center, and literally it's all empty seats but one guy. If you want to go get yourself a baseball, go to White Sox game. Like it just looks so sad, so bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
This segment is brought to you by El Bandito Yankee Tequila, smooth to the core, very great taste. Chris Chelios is part owner, so grab your bottle, go to elbanditoyankee.com and grab yours today. They got a lot of cool stuff going on. They're a really great sponsor, and I'm excited about them, man. They got some work coming up for me through WGN coming up on Friday nights for the NFL edition segment. I'm really excited to help out with that, man. I'm honored, and it's going to be a good time, and we're going to be able to get into other teams too. So that's going to help us out while I dive into other NFL teams and get a little bit more, sharpen on them. So I can do some homework and whatnot. And but yeah, man, El Banditos is a great sponsor. So check them out. What else is going on in the chat? Leroy said Taylor kicked in the worst weather than Soldier Field. They're in really bad, especially Iowa, similar to Chicago and Big Ten and all that. They don't have the really fancy stadiums and whatnot. He kicked in some bad weather, man, for sure.
Yeah, with Taylor too. There was a lot of hype about him right when he got drafted. I haven't heard a single bad thing come out of minicamp about him.
No.
Oh no! As a matter of fact, they were raving about him. He was. I think one practice he left him behind the 5-yard line like 3 different times. Same day.
That's
and that being said, I wanted to mention too that I didn't get a chance to earlier, and I had mentioned Rome as far as someone who might come out as a shining star in the Hard Knocks, right? I wanted to mention that look, we don't know a whole lot about these guys really just yet, but I do know that everything I've read from other players, comments from other players, comments from the coaching staff, Rome has impressed everybody so far, every day.
Brandon, with your media credentials, I want you to hunt down Tory Taylor. Ask him if he expects to be team MVP this year.
Well, if he is, that's a good thing.
He might be the quickest person to interview, because I don't see a line, the draw. You know what I'm saying? I might be at the front or top 5 in line for Tory for sure. So that might be a wise decision to then move on down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe let it clear out and then catch Caleb as he's going to his car. Hey, real quick.
It's a golden question, man.
I got your keys. These were your keys? Try something. I don't know. For all I know, he's probably got a posse and some security that's going to tase me and pepper spray me if I follow him. I got to watch. I got to be careful about this. Again,
you're going to have so much fun, man. It's going to be such a good time. I'm really happy for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
I'm
really cool, Brandon.
I'm honestly like, as long as I represent us, that's my main concern. I want to, and you know, I talked to Dave Kaplan about this a little bit ago. For me not to have any backing, to not be with an organization, to not be, you know, this is big. This is
Yeah.
big for a small town podcast, and that's what, for me, I'm hoping this opens doors for others and say, hey, why not them too? You know what I mean?
Well, I think
supposing you do a good job.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to mess it up for the rest of us,
I
or
mean-
make everybody else look so much better. That could be it too.
Ah,
look at the dedication you have from the chat and from the people that are watching and everything like that. You know, us smaller content creators, we represent the fans, and we do have a lot of good interaction with just good, solid Bears fans, people who love this team and people who want the content and participate in the content. And so,
Yeah.
you know, that's valued a lot. It really is.
Yeah. The only problem is I hope they're there, because I'm going to be away from all that. Like, I'm going to be recording, and then I'll, you know, probably when I go back to the Airbnb, that's when I'll upload it. I don't want to do anything live. You know what I mean? If anything, I might freaking get a hold of you again.
can you do some
Paul.
editing, Brandon?
Hey, Paul, can you make me
I would
look
be
good?
more than happy, my friend. More than happy.
Can you clip this out? And
Can you clip my big head out?
Believe me, dude. This
Hell
is
no.
this is the reason why we don't do live. Is
We can't
because
drink that.
yeah, you know, we've had shows where we end it and my co-host calls me and he's like, dude, that was the worst show I've ever done and this and that. And then I post the episodes and he's like, how did you do that? It's like, you know, editing can do a lot for sure. So yeah, live may be a bit rough, man, for sure, especially in that scenario and whatnot. But still, as just even, I know you want to represent the channel or something, but even just as a Bears fan, deep down inside, that's got to be such a nice little just appreciation to be able to go out there and do that, you know, meet these guys and be a part of it all is something that, you know, most fans don't get to experience. I mean, you got access to it. No, it's great, man. It's awesome.
Well, and at first I didn't even want to, it's not that I didn't want to, I do, but it's kind of,
You scared?
it's loaded because, you know, I'm there as a guest for Mongo, and the whole, you know, helping raise, you know, for ALS and Mongo, and he invited me. So I wanted to be there for him when he, because of his health, unfortunately can't make it, and they'll be flying to him to give him his bust and the whole interview there, and then flying back to Canton. When all that came about, that was a whole nother thing to figure out, you know, because I'm like, well, my allegiance and the reason why I'm here and everything is because my boy Mongo, and like, just go, you know, be there for the community, be there for the fans, be there for our podcast, be there as a rep. He would want you to be there. He wants to be there. This is the only time I'm ever going to get that kind of seats, that kind of whatever. And honestly, I feel part of it, and the podcast being able to be there is some of that too. I don't know how much the director knows, but that might play a part in the whole thing. So
but Brandon,
I'm just,
you know, one of the stories that came out from Ryan Poles interviewing Caleb Williams was that Caleb didn't pull out his phone once during the entire conversation.
be interviewing everybody with my phone.
I know, but you know what? If it doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
your stories, your experience shared with all these fans afterwards on this channel will also be very quality content to all of us.
True.
So either way it goes, man, just go out there and enjoy it, dude. It's just not, like you said, it's an opportunity of a lifetime for sure, man.
Yeah, no, it'll be good, man. I've been in high pressure experiences. Heck, I worked with Ed. There's a lot of high pressure there. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, which
about
reminds me, don't be eating a bunch of mushrooms and go out there, because you won't be able to remember, you know, anything that you know.
In that case, you have to have the phone recording, right?
First off, everybody, I would like to interview Sasquatch. What? Sasquatch. He's right here. You guys see him? Let's get this
Which one
guy.
of you bears has the loudest roar? Be asking questions off the charts, right? I remember I got a chance to take a photo with Bearman once at the Rosemont convention for the 100-year anniversary for the Bears.
Oh,
And
cool,
he sat
man.
there, put his arms around us, and he just
Yeah.
"Arr, arr, arr, arr." I was like, dude, you could break character. You don't have to growl for the picture, man. You
For
really
the
don't.
picture.
Yeah.
That dude's cool.
You know, I did I ever tell you, Paul, the first time I did a pod in my garage?
No.
So I had a cheap little phone, right? And I had it up against my town garbage can, and it was like this. And I had one viewer, and I was interviewing myself, and it was
Probably
very
Cliff
weird.
Victoria. No, I'm kidding.
No, Cliff came way later, dude. He's looking for quality. That was not quality. And so it was like this, right? And then like it kind of slid, and I was doing this, and
Oh
then
my God.
it fell off the town trash can, and I was like, hold on, I'm coming, I'm gonna pick you up. Don't go anywhere. I need you. So I picked it up off the ground. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw a Folgers coffee can in my garage. And I'm like, I'll be right back. So I grabbed the Folgers and I'm like, all right, let's rock, So it can't get as bad as that. That was from like very small, humble beginnings. And now I have a camera, and we have an audience, and we have 2 people on, and it's great, man. It's good times,
Believe me,
So-
man. My first recording, my first podcast was the same thing. It was a conversation, a phone call with an app recording the phone. Like I live by train tracks. You hear the train tracks. You hear my neighbor's dogs barking. I'm just rough, man. That's why I was like, I might need to edit this stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, either you've like soundproof your place, or like you don't live by train tracks anymore.
Oh no, I do. I still hear them, but it's a quality mic matters. I do a lot with music, and I know my friend came to record some songs. We tried to do some covers, and I have some crappy mics, but he went off and bought like a $300 mic.
Yeah.
And I had my baby here crying, and you couldn't hear it while he was recording. Because he literally, we did the test where he was just, going, and as he moved the mic away, the second it got a foot and a half away, didn't hear it anymore. Some of these microphones are great. Truly,
Yeah.
investment in a good mic can make a world of difference.
There was a guy who I had on from Canada, and he was really good. But the problem is, as far as a co-host goes, is he had a dog, and he said his dog is like Cujo, like half boxer, half pit bull or something. And that thing was just going nuts, dude. It was bouncing around like a BB in a beer can. And you just heard it through the whole show. And I'm like, dude, we can't do this. We can't have the babies in the background. We can't have a vacuum cleaner. It's all about sound and passing that eye test. It's got to be, we're all in studios. Ed's in a studio. I'm in a studio. You're in a studio. It all looks semi-professional. And like, why would people want to look at us if we've got all that going on, or listen to us, it's just crazy,
sure.
man. It's a struggle. It takes a lot. I got 20 co-hosts, and like they all have different skill sets and stuff. I'm just so glad Buck's coming around, man. Buck, I used to listen to him all the time at work about all his bear stories and stuff, and he's really coming to his own. And then Cliff put me with you and Leroy, and there's so many guys, man, with so much color.
Honestly,
Brandon,
man,
I'm not in the studio. I'm in the basement of my grandpa's house.
There you go.
Hey, Ma, the meatloaf.
Early on, I had one comment that was like, why would I want to listen to this dude in his mom's basement? And I replied to it. I was like, my own basement. My own basement, okay? So, let's get that straight. And like, I love Cliff. He's a great participant in a lot of shows. Honestly, man, I found your show on my own. I was just searching YouTube, and I liked what you guys had going on, and I subscribed, and I would just chime in from time to time. Cliff definitely backed me up you took a shot on having me come on, and I got to thank the members of the chat for kind of sticking up for me for that. So I know it's been a really good experience from my part to spend time with you guys, talking football, talking sports, and everything like that. So it's cool, man. You guys do a really good job here, which is why I don't mind participating whenever you need me. But yeah, man, you are this channel. It's good stuff, man. And it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And just like from where you were with the phone to where you are now, I mean, man, it's going to continue to improve. So yeah, I'm amazed by what
anniversary date is almost the same. Oh, anniversary date has to be very close to the same, Paul, because I started 2 years ago too. So I just wish I knew as much as you did about the video aspect of things, because like when I watch your stuff, I'm like, here goes Spielberg again, So it's cool stuff, man.
Thank you, man. And it's kind of funny. I'm a huge South Park fan. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, where Cartman's mom winds up, taking crap on some guy's chest. That's what they find online, right? They find Cartman's mom doing some kind of, porno or whatever. But they said originally they had her like doing bestiality porn, and the lawyers came and they're like, no, you can't do this for this reason. And they're like, okay, well, what about this, or what about that, or they're like, the whole poop on the chest thing came out of necessity. They're like, that's what we were legally able to do, and it wound up being one of the funnier things to ever do. And it's just like
spit on his chest.
Yeah, right. With my channel, I've kind of found that to be true too. A lot of my content, the way it's built and the structure of it and everything like that, is really due to necessity and trying to, use the loopholes of the law to make things not copyright infringements and things like that and whatnot. So, and it's kind of funny because it almost, I don't know if I would have ever been doing my videos in this style that I'm doing now. But hey, YouTube kind of fed me down that road, and I think it's worked out. So I think people like them. Yeah, dude. Any info you want to know, I'm an open book. Always willing to share. Always willing to teach. So
the only question I have, an open info I have for you, is when did you stop doing videos of people pooping on chests on your show?
I've never done a video of people pooping on chests on the show, so
I'm kidding, dude.
But apparently it's more legal than other type of videos, is what I'm trying to say. So
I know.
It might pass the check.
They get away with everything. It's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, but and I mentioned this.
Make it into a cartoon and it flies. It's no problem.
Right. Like I mentioned this on the last show. Like the NFL is such a powerhouse, they think they can do whatever they want. They have that little disclaimer: any use of this content is prohibited by the. Okay, that's cute. It's not legal. If it was, then WGN News, ABC News wouldn't be able to show you clips of the game after the game. So no. There is
no Cliff. We're not pooping on.
I guess we're learning something about Cliff tonight. But,
Cliff, let's just bump fists when we meet at the Hallis. I don't want to shake your hand, bro. I don't know what's going on, bro.
Definitely don't give him a chest bump.
Oh. That was a good one, Paul. That was a good one. And I think he could work with you a couple days, bro. I think he
maybe so. He might have it.
Guys, you got any closing comments? Anything you want to add that we didn't touch on?
I don't know that I do.
Yeah. Just once again, don't mean to sound like a broken record, but all the participants in chat, all the people tuning in, all the people watching, really the reason and the motivation behind us coming on, having these conversations. Because I could, like I said, before I was doing this, I was just having these conversations in private on the phone. So I love sharing my knowledge and I love sharing my experiences.
Yeah.
And it's great that, people enjoy it. It's a good feeling to get all these nice comments and all this nice participation. So you guys rock, and thank you guys so much. It's just awesome. There's an awesome group of, dedicated Bears fans out there for sure.
You know what? I got one quick thing, maybe 2 minutes. We could take some time up, but I am seriously upset about how they had the secondhand party of tickets, the group, the market of tickets where they went out and bought all
you
of
hear
the free, all of the
bots?
free,
I
of
heard 2 guys got most of them.
all of the free tickets are gobbled up, and none of the fans got the free tickets for the training camp. And a lot of people were in queue waiting and all this and that. I know some guys got like 1, some guys got 2, but it's just like hardly anybody. Like, it's bad. It's
It's
bad. They got
unbelievable.
I hadn't heard about it.
yeah.
Well,
Some
so
of the
I
tickets are being sold right now on Ticketmaster and on StubHub for as little as like 100 something bucks all the way up to 300 something bucks, and they were free.
So
Wow.
StubHub I heard is canceling the transactions. However, I don't know if it's
Good.
against Ticketmaster's rules. Ticketmaster might be letting it slide, and I think that was part of the reason why it was even able to happen is because the Bears went through Ticketmaster
Gotcha.
and this whole thing. Yeah, I've tried to find reports on this and I can't find anything concrete, but just through backhand knowledge, I've heard that a couple guys use bots to gobble them up and try and resell them right away, and they were able. Some tickets sold for $350
Oh my God.
each. Yeah, people were willing to pay.
Isn't there something on YouTube, or not YouTube, on Ticketmaster, and where you have to identify yourself and say, okay, where is the crosswalk, and then you hit all the, so you show that you're not a robot. What happened there? For that,
the nerds, man. They've taken over just like
Hey,
used to say they
last
would.
time
They've
I
finally
looked,
taken over.
scalping was still illegal. And if you're selling a ticket for more than face value, that's scalping, and
Which
that's
is-
illegal.
Oh boy.
If
Yeah.
if now Ticketmaster, StubHub, places like that, if they're putting their fees on it or whatever, that's not the same. See, but if I got season tickets and I sell my seats for more than what they cost me, that's illegal. Now people do it all the time, but it's illegal.
The value
called scalping.
fluctuates depending on how good the team is.
The rate of the ticket, the cost of the ticket, even for a season ticket holder, is different every game depending on who they're playing. The Green Bay game is always the most expensive tickets, but if they sell their tickets for more than face value, it's illegal. They get away. It's done like nobody cares, but it is illegal. So if these tickets that are being sold for whatever amount of money that were free tickets, and somebody gets wrapped up in it, they can face charges and possible jail time because of it, because it's absolutely illegal.
Yeah, unless
Free
they're like,
tickets, man. They're gonna
unless-
make hundreds and thousands of dollars for every game through all 18 freaking weeks. It's ridiculous. Playoffs, all of that. Multi-billion dollar, industry. And this is just training camp. They're just practicing. It's just a way for us fans to get a little bit close and whatever and watch these guys throw the ball around in their freaking gym shorts. I'm just like, I can't believe that they're trying to take advantage of free tickets, man. Free.
Well, Ed, you're completely right. Until you find out that these people are in another country, and then what? You can't prosecute them. You can't do anything to them if they're in another country.
I can't prosecute anyone. I can just be pissed off, and I don't.
And I am pissed off. And I just want to share a quick story with you. And I know we're over the time limit here, but like last year, I couldn't get tickets, and then I was at work, and my phone popped up with a notification saying, "Hey, 2 tickets available." I was like, "Get them!" And I got them. I was like, "Cool." And I was doing the channel. I could have been selfish. I wanted the content, but my father-in-law, he's got a grandson. Kid's 13 years old. Loves the Bears, and I gave both tickets to them. And he took this kid to Hallis Hall. And they went there, and he's 13, so he got to participate in the kids stuff and everything. And he said he bought him a football. He got a bunch of different signatures, and he said he got one from Darnell Mooney. And he asked Darnell Mooney, he's like, if I come back next year, will you remember me? This and that. And like a little kid would. And Darnell's like, yeah, of course I'll remember you. He told me that kid stared at that ball, just turning it the whole ride home. And at one point he's like, Darnell Mooney's my favorite Bear now. it's that's who you're screwing over here, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the
Exactly.
worst part about it. You're taking this away from the damn kids. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't even care for myself. I don't care. Like, if I would have not wound up with a ticket, sure, I tried whatever. But like to have it go down like this, it's just to me, it's
That's like the guy, the adult that takes the ball that's hit for a home run out of the kid's grasp. You need to be the adult that hands. I hope you're paying attention to this. You need to be the grown up, the adult that takes that ball and gives it to the kid next to you that's not even within reach, because it's the kid's moment, and at some point he's gonna be where you're at, and that's ridiculous. And you need to be locked up and thrown into Cubs or Sox jail cell and whipped with a rubber hose and sprayed down and anything else, anything bad that they could think of. That's what you need.
Yeah.
yeah. Your
Shame on you.
punishment is White Sox season tickets. That's what you get.
With the eyes open like this, you must watch
Oh,
more.
man. Not White Sox.
Yeah, no, please.
Come on. You said earlier how they panned up and there was like just an empty whole section empty, and I'm not a big baseball fan at all, man. But I hear things and people talking about it, and I guess the White Sox just didn't spend any money, didn't try to trade for anybody, just like didn't make an effort. Well, now they got empty seats, and that's why, and they deserve them empty seats from what I've heard.
So, Buck, that Cubs shirt that you used to wear that was a tie-dye, that was just because it was a tie-dye, not because that you're like big on baseball?
I support the Cubs over the Sox, mostly because Ron Kittle played for the Sox and went to my high school, and I don't really like him, and he tells shitty jokes, and I used to have to look at his fucked up face every family party when he was one of the best friends of my ex-brother-in-law, and he's an arrogant prick, and I don't like him. And so, but I've been to a Sox game, I've been to a Cubs game, a couple Cubs games, but just not a baseball fan. I support either team if they get into the playoffs. That's the only really baseball I'll watch is playoffs if the Sox or Cubs are in it. Not really a baseball fan. Not really haven't been. But yeah, I mostly because it was a tie-dye. Yeah, Brandon.
Hey, I'll make sure that you're not on when we have Ron Kittle on. In
Ah,
the
I'll tell him how shitty his jokes are.
future. Yes, you will. You don't hold back for sure. Hey, guys, thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate you for dealing with us for over 2 hours and 8 minutes now. Hit that like button, subscribe, smash that notification bell, leave a real nice 5-star review.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, thanks, Buck. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Chi-Town up, Bear down.
Right on, guys.